All right, let's cut the crap and get right into it. The Grand Canyon. You know, the big fucking hole in the ground.
A natural wonder of the world.
Yeah, wonder of the world, sure. But most people just see the pictures and don't really get how much crazy shit went down to make this thing. You know what I mean?
It's a fascinating story, that's for sure. Millions of years of geological processes.
Millions.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs probably took a dump right on the edge of this thing back in the day. Scientists are still arguing whether it's 6 million years old.
Or 70 million.
70 million. That just blows my mind. Like this whole damn canyon was forming when T-Rex was still stomping around. So,
The Colorado River obviously has played a major role.
right, the Colorado. But it's not like that river just decided one day, hey, I'm going to carve a giant freaking canyon. There's got to be more to it, right?
It's a combination of factors. The river's erosive power, of course, but also the uplift of the Colorado Plateau.
Uplift. Like the whole damn thing just rose up out of the ground.
Over millions of years, yes. The tectonic plates shifted, pushing the land upwards.
And then the river was like, well, shit, now I got to carve through all this new rock.
Exactly. The river cut down through the layers of rock as the plateau rose, and then you have the ice ages.
Oh yeah, the ice ages. I bet those dumped a shit ton of water into the river. Talk about a power wash, huh?
The increased water flow during the ice ages would have significantly accelerated the erosion process.
So you're telling me this whole thing is basically a giant water slide carved by a river on steroids?
In a way, yes, but it's important to remember the role of other forces as well. Volcanic activity, for example.
Volcanoes. Shit, I forgot about those. I bet those mess things up a few times.
There is evidence of volcanic eruptions throughout the canyon's history, ash deposits, lava flows.
Lava flows. Imagine that, a river of molten rock pouring into the canyon. Talk about a bad day for anything living down there.
It would have been a dramatic event for sure, but these events also shaped the canyon's diverse landscape.
Diverse is an understatement. You've got everything from deserts to forests up on the rim. It's like 5 different worlds stacked on top of each other.
The Grand Canyon is actually home to 5 distinct life zones, each with its own unique climate, flora, and fauna. It's like traveling from Mexico to Canada in just a few miles.
5 life zones. That's insane. So you're telling me there are rattlesnakes sunning themselves down by the river and then, like, mountain lions chilling up on the rim?
Well, not mountain lions, but you do have a wide variety of wildlife. Desert bighorn sheep, elk, even endangered California condors.
Condors. Those things are like giant vultures. I bet they love watching all the tourists who fall into the canyon every year.
The Grand Canyon can be a dangerous place, that's for sure. It's important to be prepared and respect its power.
No shit. It's not a theme park. People die in this canyon all the time. Falls, heat stroke, dehydration, you name it. It's a beautiful place, but it doesn't give a damn about you.
It's a reminder that nature is both awe-inspiring and unforgiving.
Damn right. So we've talked about the rocks, the river, the wildlife. But what about the people? Native Americans were here first, right? They weren't just staring into this giant hole wondering how it got there.
Native American tribes have lived in and around the Grand Canyon for thousands of years.
Right. They had their own stories, their own beliefs about this place. It was sacred to them.
Absolutely. The canyon holds deep spiritual significance for many tribes.
And then those Spanish assholes showed up looking for gold and probably scared the shit out of everyone.
The first Europeans to see the Grand Canyon were indeed Spanish explorers in the 1540s.
Of course they were looking for gold. Those guys were obsessed with this stuff. Did they at least leave any decent recipes behind? Some tapas or something?
I'm afraid not. Their expedition was more focused on exploration and conquest.
Figures. So they saw this giant hole in the ground, didn't find any gold, and probably thought, well, that was a waste of time. But eventually, someone had to tackle that crazy-ass river at the bottom right.
That would be John Wesley Powell in 1869. He led the first documented expedition through the Grand Canyon.
In a wooden boat, can you imagine? No GPS, no life jackets, just a couple of oars and a prayer. That guy had balls of steel.
It was an incredibly dangerous journey. They faced rapids, near starvation, and even lost some of their crew along the way.
Damn. Now, that's a story for the history books. And I bet Powell's expedition helped put the Grand Canyon on the map, so to speak.
It definitely brought more attention to the canyon. And then you have Teddy Roosevelt, a huge advocate for conservation.
Good old Teddy. He loved the outdoors. He probably saw this place and thought, we got to protect this shit from those greedy bastards who want to turn it into a mine.
He actually declared the Grand Canyon a national monument in 1908, paving the way for its protection as a national park.
Good call, Teddy. It's a shame he couldn't stop all the tourist crap that came after. But hey, that's a story for another time. Right now, I need a beer.
Speaking of tourists, we can't ignore the millions of people who visit the Grand Canyon every year.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's great that people want to see this amazing place.
But on the other hand, all those tourists have an impact.
Impact is an understatement. It's like a goddamn ant trail down there sometimes. And don't even get me started on that stupid glass skywalk thing.
The skywalk is definitely controversial.
Controversial. It's a giant fucking toilet bowl hanging over the edge of the canyon. Who in their right mind would walk out on that thing?
Some people love it. They say it's a unique way to experience the canyon's vastness.
Yeah, well, I'd rather experience it from a safe distance with a stiff drink in my hand. But hey, if people want to pay $100 to shit their pants over the Grand Canyon, who am I to judge?
The real question is how to balance access with preservation.
Right. How do you let people see this place without loving it to death?
It's a challenge all national parks face. And then you have the issue of the Glen Canyon Dam.
Oh yeah, the dam. That thing really screwed up the natural flow of the Colorado River, didn't it?
The dam has had a significant impact on the canyon's ecosystem.
You think. It's like they turned a wild, raging river into a goddamn bathtub.
The dam has altered water temperature, sediment flow, and the formation of beaches and sandbars.
So basically, they tried to tame nature, and it backfired. Typical human bullshit. But they're trying to fix it, right? With those controlled floods I've heard about.
Controlled floods are one way to try to mimic the river's natural flow regime.
Wait, so they're flooding the canyon on purpose? Sounds like a recipe for disaster to me.
It's a carefully managed process.
I'll bet. But let's move on to something even more controversial. Uranium mining. They actually want to dig that shit up right next to the Grand Canyon. Are they out of their minds?
There are substantial uranium deposits in the areas surrounding the canyon.
Yeah, and there's also a shit ton of plutonium on the moon. Doesn't mean we should go digging it up. What are these people thinking?
Proponents of mining argue that it would bring jobs and economic benefits to the region.
Oh, here we go with the jobs argument. Look, I get it. People need jobs, but not at the expense of poisoning the environment and potentially contaminating the water supply for millions of people.
Those are valid concerns. Opponents of mining point to the risk of groundwater contamination.
Not to mention the potential impact on Native American tribes who consider this land sacred.
The issue is complex, with strong arguments on both sides.
Well, I'm on the side of not turning one of the most beautiful places on Earth into a toxic wasteland. But let's take a break from all this doom and gloom. Tell me about some of the weirdos who've lived in the Grand Canyon. I hear there have been some real characters over the years.
The canyon has always attracted its share of eccentrics and those seeking solitude.
Like hermits and stuff, people who just wanted to get away from the bullshit of civilization.
Exactly. People like Louis Boucher, the hermit. He lived in a cave near the canyon for over 30 years.
A caveman with a view. I can respect that. What else you got?
There is Seth Tanner, a prospector who claimed to have found gold in the canyon, but refused to reveal the location of his mine.
Maybe he just wanted to keep all the gold for himself. I wouldn't blame him.
And then there were the Cole brothers, Emery and Ellsworth. They were photographers who set up a studio on the South Rim in the early 1900s.
I bet they captured some amazing images of the canyon back then, before it was overrun with tourists.
They were pioneers in Grand Canyon photography and filmmaking.
Speaking of the South Rim, I hear it's like Disneyland for nature lovers these days.
The South Rim is the most developed and accessible part of the park.
Translation is crawling with tourists. But there's some cool historical stuff up there too, right? Like that El Tovar Hotel.
The El Tovar is a National Historic Landmark. It's known for its rustic architecture and stunning views.
I'll bet they have a killer bar too. Maybe a cocktail named after Teddy Roosevelt.
Speaking of architecture, the South Rim is also home to several buildings designed by Mary Coulter.
Mary Coulter. Who's that?
She was a renowned architect who specialized in designing structures that blended with the natural landscape.
Sounds like my kind of architect. I hate it when modern buildings clash with nature.
Her work is celebrated for its integration with the canyon's geology and its respect for Native American design elements.
Okay, she sounds pretty cool. But even the best architecture can't hide the fact that the South Rim is a tourist trap. I mean, it's great that people want to see the canyon, but sometimes it feels like you need a reservation just to take a piss.
The popularity of the Grand Canyon does present some challenges: overcrowding, traffic, noise pollution.
Not to mention the idiots who fall off the rim trying to take a selfie.
It's important to remember that the canyon is a wild and unforgiving place.
Yeah, it's not Instagram, it's real life, and people need to treat it with respect.
It's not just about respecting the canyon itself, but also the people who call it home.
You're talking about the Native American tribes, right?
Yes, their connection to the Grand Canyon goes back thousands of years.
And it's a connection that runs much deeper than any tourist attraction.
Their cultures' traditions are intertwined with the canyon's landscape.
It's a shame how those tribes have been treated throughout history.
There's a growing movement to recognize and honor the contributions of Native American tribes to the canyon's history and management.
About damn time. They're the true experts on this place. But enough about serious stuff. Tell me about some of the crazy shit people do in the Grand Canyon for fun. I heard there's a marathon that goes all the way to the bottom and back up.
The Grand Canyon Ultramarathon is a 78-mile race.
78 miles?
Yeah.
In that heat? Are you kidding me?
It's a grueling test of endurance.
I'll stick to watching it on TV.
Yeah.
With a cold beer in my hand.
What about rafting? I've always wanted to raft through the Grand Canyon.
Rafting through the canyon is an incredible experience.
But those rapids look pretty gnarly.
The Colorado River is a powerful force, but rafting allows you to see the canyon from a whole new perspective.
I bet you have some wild rafting stories. Come on, spill the beans.
I've had my share of adventures on the river. It's a truly unique way to experience the canyon's grandeur.
Sounds amazing, but also a little scary. What about all the stories about people disappearing in the canyon?
The Grand Canyon has its share of mysteries.
Okay, now you're just messing with me. Give me some examples. One of the most famous cases is that of Glenn and Bessie Hyde, a young couple who attempted to run the Colorado River in 1928.
What happened to them?
They vanished without a trace. Their boat was found, but there was no sign of the couple.
Damn, that's creepy.
There have been many theories, but the case remains unsolved.
So the Grand Canyon is beautiful, dangerous, and mysterious. What's not to love?
It's a place that inspires both awe and trepidation.
Well, you've officially creeped me out. Maybe we should switch to a lighter topic, like, I don't know, puppies.
Well, before we move on, there's one more tale I'd like to share. It involves a rather unusual discovery made deep within the canyon's walls. So deep within a remote side canyon.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Researchers stumbled upon a series of ancient petroglyphs. They'd never been documented before.
Petroglyphs, like cave drawings. So what'd they find? Bunch of stick figures chasing deer.
These were far more intricate, strange symbols, celestial patterns, and,
Yeah, don't leave me hanging.
what appeared to be humanoid figures, but
But what? Spit it out.
with elongated heads and almond-shaped eyes.
Hold the fucking phone. Are we talking aliens here? Did some ancient tribe have a close encounter down in the canyon?
Well, the interpretation is still debated. Some say mythological beings, shamanic visions, but...
Did some say aliens? I knew it. So what's the official word? Are the feds covering this up like Roswell? Men in black suits, the whole 9 yards?
There's no cover-up,
But it's a damn interesting coincidence, don't you think? Ancient aliens, mysterious symbols, a canyon full of secrets. This is the kind of shit I live for.
it certainly adds to the mystique of the Grand Canyon.
Mystique. This is more than Mystique. This is a goddamn X-Files episode waiting to happen. Man, this whole deep dive has been a wild ride. I thought I knew the Grand Canyon, but I was just scratching the surface.
It's a place that never ceases to amaze, even for those of us who study it.
You got that right. I got to get my ass down there and see this shit for myself. Maybe even find those alien petroglyphs.
Just remember to respect the canyon, its power, its history.
Yeah. No littering, no harassing the condors.
Got
Good.
that.
All right, folks. That's a wrap on the Grand Canyon. We've covered it all, the history, the geology, the crazy-ass stories, even those freaking aliens.
And the importance of protecting this natural wonder.
Damn right. So, if you haven't been to the Grand Canyon, get off your ass and go. It's a trip you won't forget. Just remember, pack plenty of water, wear sunscreen, and watch out for those aliens. You never know what you might find down there. Peace out.